Red wins. This was fabulous. What success in world building. My goodness. I was deeply intrigued right from the beginning. All of the facets of it felt so well thought out, from making the call to you waking up in a hospital bed. There's medical interventions. And what is the drive of what is pushing people there? And it is greed. And it's all for people's entertainment. And it reminds me of the reality TV obsession that we currently have, and how far people will go for this fame, for money, for greed, for a get rich quick kind of scheme. And I thought, in all of the characterizations, the logistics of it, the atmosphere, it really was a masterclass in creating that atmosphere and that tension and that world where I needed to know more. It really did feel like an episode of Black Mirror, or a kind of a type of Squid Game esque exploration that I thought was done very brilliantly. I liked the commercial part in the middle because it gave it that strange apocalyptic, wow, how far have we gone kind of feeling, where we realized, oh, this was like a show, and realized how pervasive it was. Felt unnerving, but it did take me out slightly. I think it actually confused the world building for me more than solidified it or gave me more answers. It almost gave me more questions. I don't know, maybe even tonally with the piece, but that's me being very picky. I thought this was fantastic and felt like a short story, a classic short story, exploded into a feature.
This was a really well done film, top to bottom. Great cinematography, just use of color and setting the scene. Every frame feels like it was thoughtfully crafted. Wardrobe fantastic all through. It just really gives a sense of really polished production value throughout, and that goes even to the writing and the performances. Everything is just done at a really high, respectable level here. And yeah, back to the writing, it was really strong, compelling story. It just a good reveal there. Everything was paced really well. Where the way the narrative starts and progresses at a good clip. It's just enough to kind of feed us and keep us going. Kind of a slow burn, really well done all through. I really enjoyed it.
Red Wins. This is a standout in independent horror cinema, with this twisted, surreal game at its core. The film is really good at maintaining this eerie and sort of quiet tone throughout, without ever being overly dramatic, overly overly dry. It always had this sense of intense but quiet emotion, which is of course supported by really striking performances and really interesting use of color. The slow methodical pacing gave it a real sense of tension. Of course, huge references to Eyes Wide Shut, I thought, especially with the particularly intimate close-ups. Yeah, I just thought it was a really proud achievement in this genre. I really enjoyed it.
Red Winds is clearly influenced by TV series such as Squid Games, as we get to see the story, as we get to follow one of the players who essentially signs a deal with the devil and enters this game, a competition where it is Russian roulette. and this card game that is essentially mixed in with the belief of tarot and spirituality. And as these cards come up to play, there is this horror-esque aspect, as the reality of this is not only do you become a contender for this game with the chance of winning what could be properties, or enslave someone, or end up trying to get $6 million. You know, it's just going to provide big costs, whether it's someone you care about or even your own life. How much greed do you consume? How much power do you go for? And when humans deal with scarcity, it pushes them to make these big decisions. And so that's what brought them here to this table in the first place. And there's no means for escape. And what's so interesting about this aspect is, you know, they are essentially playing this game in front of like a live studio audience, which is obviously full of the rich that are just merely watching this for sport almost. And on the other side of the coin, you're also having people just nonchalantly, casually watch this on the internet, which sort of it's a really strong sell point that the filmmaker makes, is this sense of desensitization that social media has put on us, because here we're just casually watching people die left and right. And the audience, by the way, doesn't actually see this. That's what's the interesting part, is the audience in this world is seeing these crimes, or these horrific deaths, so to speak, but the viewer doesn't actually experience that. They do the horror in the build up and the slow dragging moments. It's not about the actual final blow to these characters. And I kind of like that the filmmaker decided to make those decisions, because it just goes to show that horror films aren't simply built on the deaths themselves, but the layers that go behind the horrific things. And yeah, I think these filmmakers came together to put together a very fluidity piece through and through, and definitely gets some different talking points and different thoughts about society to one's mind, whether it be man versus technology, man versus man, man versus, power, greed, religion, the seven deadly sins, I think, can be definitely brought up in this manner of study and leisure.